Welcome to episode 25 of the Career Breakthrough Series. I'm your host, Paul Ames, and if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with amazing new guests and episodes that are coming out every week for you guys that are really going to help you in your career. So today's episode, I want to introduce to you Mr. Unpredictable. I'm talking about none other than Will Collette. So Will is a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force, but his real passion and purpose lie in having his own production company and being unpredictable, and some of the incredible results and journeys that this has taken him on, and how you can also do this in your career to achieve amazing results. Will has managed to secure himself into the Chainsmokers, and through his production company has actually filmed one of their live music videos. He has also got into the Coldplay concert and got some incredible results and journeys out of all of these unpredictable things that he's suddenly done. So, without further ado, I'm going to get into the episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. And be sure to either like, comment, or share it out with your friends if you enjoyed it. Thanks, guys. I'll see you inside. Guys, welcome to episode 25 of the Career Breakthrough Series. I'm your host, Paul Ames, and on the show today, I've got an amazing guest. So a guy I've been speaking to for quite a while now, and I absolutely loved his journey when he told me about it, and I've always loved our conversations. So I wanted to introduce to you Will Collette. So Will is in active duty in the Air Force in the US, where he helps to launch rockets and missiles. But the main part of Will that's the most exciting, and from what I've seen, I've been following his stuff on Instagram and social for a while, is his amazing journeys and where he ends up all the time. It's just crazy, which leads you into his new book, which is called The Art of Unpredictability. It's an amazing new book, which I'll share the link to once we've ended the show. But Will, I'd love to thank you for being on my show, man. It's a great honor to have you on, and I'm so happy to be able to share your message and our journey.
Definitely, man. Thanks for having me. It's super cool that you're reaching out all the way from Australia, right?
Oh, definitely in Perth, Australia.
Yeah, out here in California, that's a long way to reach out, so it's a privilege.
Definitely. So, Will, if you could just give the audience a bit of a brief background and history into basically who you are, what you stand for, and what your upbringing was like for you growing up.
For sure. So I'm a born and bred Tar Heel. So I'm from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So anybody that's heard of Michael Jordan, that's where he went to school. So basketball is our religion. We're all about our athletics over there and football and everything. So I grew up watching all those sports, and that's actually how I got involved in video. I made the highlight videos for the football team in college all 4 years that I was there, back from like 2011 to 2015. And on the side, I was like, well, I kind of want to go to parties and have fun like everybody else. But in my near future, I had already signed the papers to join the U.S. Air Force. So I had to find a way to have fun on the weekends, but keep it smart so that I didn't ruin my Air Force career. Yeah. So I figured out the loophole to getting into clubs and everything and being there with everybody else was filming. So I would take a camera into different venues and film whatever DJ was there. And I started off really small with kind of like some local names and groups. And then eventually it built its way up to where I was hitting some really big artists. And then I decided to kind of build a little business around that. And then I picked California for my base location once I commissioned in the Air Force after I graduated, because I wanted to be super close to Los Angeles, and I got my top choice, which almost never happens.
That's awesome.
And now I balance life between the Air Force, doing public affairs for the space and missile mission we have out here, and then driving 3 hours down to Hollywood every weekend to film music videos.
Man, that's so awesome. And I was going to say one thing that stuck with me, which I remember, is one of the videos you posted where you got into the Chainsmokers. I love the Chainsmokers. So yeah, that was really cool where you posted live video from there. That was amazing, man.
Oh, Chainsmokers definitely has a special place in my heart, just because the first video that we did for them was at Tomorrow World, and it was the very last Tomorrow World in the States before they all kind of fell apart. And I was looking at the lineup, and there were a lot of big names there, but I didn't want to tackle the big names. I wanted our odds to be higher of being able to get an artist. So I just kind of looked at them like, well, I've heard of the Chainsmokers, and they just dropped, like, the song Roses had been out for less than a month. Yeah. And I was like, man, Roses is pretty good. It doesn't have any video out right now. Let's ask them if we can film that show. So we hit them up, and they immediately responded, and we're like, yeah, come do it. And that show on the way to that show, we got in a car accident and almost were killed, and ended up making it to the show a little late, barely got our press credentials in time. And then it flooded and my laptop broke. My phone got pickpocketed in the middle of the show, and it all seemed horrible, but we finished a video and it was our most watched video of all time. It's approaching like 200,000 views on YouTube now. The Chainsmokers loved it, and it was Four Roses, and it was just a really special experience. And since then, we've had the privilege of filming the Chainsmokers on some of the biggest venues in the country. Wow. And we've done it a couple times and just really, really love those guys and their team and all their music. They're really onto something great, and we were definitely happy to be a part of that early on.
Man, that's amazing. Hat goes off to you, man. That's amazing. You should be so proud of yourself and it goes to show in your personality as well, how determined and resilient you are from, pushing through setbacks and, when people keep saying no to you, eventually pushing through it, and you get these amazing breaks where, like you said, your phone died. Someone pickpocketed your phone. Everything was going wrong. You had a car accident, but yet, man, you recorded an amazing video. That's probably, like you said, one of the most watched videos that you've done. That's incredible, man.
Yeah, and I remember like standing in the crowd of that show. I don't remember how many thousand people they had there. It was a huge crowd. And my buddy who I brought to the show looked at me. He's like, dude, we're alive. Like, we made it, and this is awesome. And we didn't worry about the car or the phone or the laptop or anything that entire trip. We were just focused on the fact that we were living bonus days. And from that point on, we're like, hey, let's act like we're dying at midnight. And I talk about that a lot in my book, and that's the thing that I remind myself every morning when I wake up. If I'm, because I go to the gym at 4, and when I'm going to the gym and the sun isn't up and I'm super tired and I don't want to be there, I keep telling myself, hey, this could be your last day. Is this how you want to treat it? And that energy hasn't died yet for me since then, because I still am living like I'm on bonus days. And I think that's something that a lot of people become numb to, is that, especially if they're young, they're like, oh, I have like infinite time. And they're not necessarily motivated to do things now. They put it off very easily. And I hate putting stuff off. I hate waiting on an adventure or an idea or a task. If I think of something, I like to do it like right now.
Awesome, man. I can relate to a lot of that. I'm a really impulsive person too. And I tend to think like that too. I guess it frustrates me with business at times where, you put in a lot of work and you don't always get the results that you want, but that, things are going to happen, and, it's up to me to make them happen. So yeah, just keep trying. But I can totally relate to that too.
Absolutely, man.
So just touching on that, like how we discussed a couple of the setbacks from obviously doing the Chainsmokers video. So I'd love to know, what would be some of the biggest mental roadblocks or obstacles that you reckon you've had to work through, either in your career or in your life, Will?
I would say that I'm trying to think of what book it was that I was reading. I want to say it was Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, that's good.
I think this is the one where he talks about how if you're going after something, by nature, the things that are like borderline impossible are the things that we almost are more motivated to accomplish, because they seem so impossible. It's like, oh yeah, like I'll never get that. And then like once you kind of start towards it a little bit, then you're like, maybe this can happen. You get like a little momentum. It's either that or 4-hour work week. I can't remember which one it was, but I like to go after those goals. So like, because when I hit the roadblocks, when I hit the things that come up and keep, kind of show like, hey, maybe this isn't possible, I'm way more motivated to get past them, because the end game that I'm going after is worth it. So in the book, some of the big things I talk about that we went after, one of them was going into a Coldplay concert and getting in the front section without buying a front section ticket. One of them was going to a Chainsmokers concert and filming it when a media list didn't exist. It was a totally different Chainsmokers concert. And one of them now that I'm working on, and I have no idea if I'll be able to pull this off, but I want to get ice cream with the Greek president and talk to him about, the ancient storytellers and really learn about what the original storytellers were all about. And I think those goals are so ambitious. In my book, one of the best analogies that I think, or metaphors that I think I make, is when I was talking about going to the Coldplay concert. And we were at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, and it was a sold-out football stadium, big crowd for the Coldplay tour. And we got tickets, and we were like way in the back, like $130 tickets, like all the way in the back. And I held up my thumb and I covered up the stage, and I was like, looking over at my friend, I'm like, dude, we gotta get to the front. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we gotta figure it out.
Love it.
And the analogy that I made was that anytime you're going after something like that, that's a locked door in front of you. So the Coldplay front section was a locked door. Chainsmokers Media List was a locked door. And picture yourself being in a room with keys all over the floor. And at least one of those keys is going to unlock that door. So it doesn't matter what your locked door is, there's a key in the room. But some people look at a roadblock and they're like, it's literally impossible. There's not even a keyhole. It's just a door and I can't get through it. But my theory is that the more likely you are to accomplish whatever that task is, the more figurative keys there are on the floor. So if your goal is to lose like 5 pounds, there's going to be a lot of keys on the ground, ways to do that. But if your goal is to get into a Coldplay show without buying that kind of ticket, there might be like 1 or 2 keys. So it's really a question. It's not a question of whether or not it's possible, at least how I see things. It's how long are you willing to search the ground for the key that's going to unlock that door? Does that make sense?
Sure does, man. I love that. Guys, go back and have a listen to what Will's just shared with you there. And it's so true. I think if more and more people could view or try and change their mindset into that sort of perspective, it's the positive way to look forward into your life and to help you realize that these goals are achievable. It might just take that one key, like you said, or that one opportunity or one way of thinking differently. So, yeah, that's brilliant, man. I absolutely love that.
Right. And where my book really comes into play is, and also the content that we're releasing on our Facebook page, The Art of Unpredictability. So being unpredictable and some of the techniques that I talk about are shortcuts to finding those keys. So, for example, when we were trying to go to the Coldplay show, one key might have been to find somebody that worked for the staff like way in advance and like get to know them and then have like a hookup where they might like let you in or something like that. That would be like that might take a while. Or it's some way to earn enough of that money to be able to buy the ticket, hustle your way in. But for us, the shortcut was the unpredictability key. And that's when we walked up and I looked at my buddy and I said, listen, here's the story we're going to pitch right now on the spot. We're flying in from England. We just landed. We're a day early. And our uncle lives in Anaheim. And he's at the show. He's in Section H. We looked up the little map online. I was like, he's in Section H. And we just want to go get a photo with him because there's no band on right now. And we're going to go grab a photo, and then we're going to tell him to come right back. But we're not going to come back. And we got to do it with a British accent. We got to do like a fake British accent to really pull this off. So we went up and we pitched that story, and it worked because the accent, a foreign accent. So like if I came to your country and used like a super Southern accent, or if you came here and used your accent naturally, and it's like we're programmed to receive it this way. We are more trusting. And it's weird how it works, but like if you heard someone with a super Southern accent, like for some reason you'll trust them a little bit more. Yep. And then the story was so intricate that it was like it couldn't have been made up. And we were really polite about it all. And in fact, we even went into the show and told everybody around us we were from England. And I had my buddy brought cards, and he was doing magic. We were thinking of all the possibilities that this could get ruined. We were thinking ahead. So we're like, okay, if they see us and realize that we don't have the wristbands we're supposed to have, and they try to kick us out, if everybody around us is cool with it, then they might let us stay. So my buddy pulls out a deck of cards and starts doing magic tricks in the front section and gets everybody around us involved. And, I'm using my British accent and everything, and it's going great. And we even looked back and found more seats that we could fall back to if those ticket holders showed up, which they did. We fell back to the seat and everything was fine. So, thinking way outside the box catches people off guard, especially people who are used to routine.
Yep.
So that guy working at the tunnel, working security at the tunnel, he's told one thing: scan the wristbands, check the ticket, and let them through. If they don't have either of the two, they can't come in. But if we come in and throw a curveball where he has to make an game time decision, oftentimes people are overwhelmed and they don't know what to do, so they'll just say yes. Yeah. And if they're not going to say yes, the easy thing is to say no. If they say no, then you give them a reason to say yes. And that reason for us was, hey, why don't you go escort us down there? Why don't we give you our phone as collateral and then we'll come back and get it? Things where it was harder and harder for him to say no. So yeah,
awesome.
the unpredictability key is the ace in the hole for you sometimes if you're going after certain things. And it can be a short-term goal like getting to Coldplay, or it can be a longer-term goal like reaching, a certain career path, getting your foot in the door in an industry or anything like that. I think the unpredictability way is the way to go.
Oh, for sure, man. That's such a cool story. Like, I'll always love hearing your journeys and everything you're going through, and hearing it from you there coming out. It's really cool, man. It's amazing. And as you said, a lot of people have that default setting, like you said, that security guard, where he just doesn't know how to respond when it's something that out of the ordinary that he's supposed to be doing. Like, most people go about their daily lives doing what they do. When something new or different happens, they're like, whoa, what's going on? I don't know how to deal with this. So, yeah, that's great advice, man. So we're just moving on to this next question, man. So from your previous careers that you've done, what would be some of the biggest takeaways that you've gained from those, whether it be, or even in your current career in the Air Force, or, with your production company? What are some of the biggest takeaways you think you've gained that you could share with my audience?
Yeah, I've actually thought about this a lot. So I like to split the two careers in half because they're opposite ends of the spectrum. So Hollywood first, the biggest thing I've learned is persistence. So tactful persistence, because you don't want to annoy anybody. But I look back at, like, every time anything has gone wrong for my team or myself whenever we're going after something, and you can have charisma, you can have talent, you can have skill, you can, whatever it is, but all those eventually are going to run dry. The one thing that doesn't run dry is persistence. So if you're constantly hungry for whatever it is and you're going after it, the door's going to open. You're going to find the key.
Definitely.
And then on the Air Force side, I think the biggest thing I've learned is commitment. So commitment to your word, commitment to, the things you say you're going to do, and showing that through action, because that is the most rare thing in the world when it comes to Hollywood, because nobody deals with commitment. I like to call them flakes and fakes down in Hollywood, because it's very hard to find somebody that is genuine and authentic in who they say they are and what they say they'll do for you. And whereas in the Air Force, that's common. That's a standard. And I love that about the Air Force. So persistence and commitment.
Exactly, man. And you've definitely got both. And I'm really glad that I connected you and Jay Menes together. I saw you guys did an amazing project together, and I knew you guys had hit it off just from speaking to you both. So that's massive, man. And definitely touches on both of those elements. I love that you separated them both and really pulled them apart to help people understand exactly what it is, how different each element is. So thanks for that, man.
Of course. Yeah, man. Jay has been a huge, huge contact for me down in LA. And I think the biggest thing he's taught me that has really helped me get my foot in the door with a lot of people, whereas I like to use the unpredictability key, but Jay taught me about delivering value. Yeah. So whenever you ask someone for something, you have to have a way to deliver value back in a greater or equal form. And when I have reached out to some people with like a cold email or a cold Facebook message or something like that out of the blue, and my first question is something like, what can I do for you? This is what I'm good at. It gets a response almost every time, because they're like, someone's asking me what they can do for me. Like, that doesn't usually happen, and I that was like a cheat code that's so obvious, but like people forget about it because they like, okay, so if I reach out to you and I was like, hey man, can I be on your show? I need more exposure, publicity or whatever. That's asking you of something. But if I was like, hey, Paul, I think there's a message that I can share on your show that will get you more viewers, or that will give you something that you can take away and learn from, that's delivering value. That's different. So yeah, that was a huge piece of advice that I learned from Jay, for sure.
For sure, man. And I completely agree with you. That's actually something that I've done to get a lot of the guests and like yourself on the show. I always add value. Like I've always found it, like I play off my strengths as well, much like yourself. I find it easy to build relationships with people. I've always found it easy connecting with people. I love talking to people and meeting new people. So, I don't find it hard connecting with people. And the other day I had someone say to me, can you share an article or create an article on The Influensive about how you have connected with all these amazing people after I shared the post about you coming on the show and from a couple of the other guys coming on the show. So, and it's pretty simple. I've never found it hard. I've just found it easy connecting with people. And like you said, adding value or saying, what can I do for you? How can I promote your book? Find out information about them, how you can promote their resources. And, likewise, then they return the favor. And I've always had, positive responses. Some people are harder to get. Like, I'm trying to get Mark Cuban on my show.
Hey,
That's my big goal, and I'm going to get there.
that's
Just going to
awesome.
figure out an in. So, but yeah, I
Exactly.
agree, man.
There's a key on the ground somewhere, man.
Definitely, there sure is. But yeah, so Will, I'd love to know what would be the best career advice you reckon you've ever received in your life. It doesn't have to be from a career practitioner, but what do you think would be the best career advice you reckon you've ever received?
Best career advice. Can you be a little more specific? I'm thinking of like a lot of different lessons. Like,
Yeah, okay. I'll tailor it more to finding something that really lights you up inside in your career. What do you reckon would be the best advice that you've heard that to really help you find something that really, like, I know you've found something you love with your unpredictability and what you do, man. I can see how passionate you are about it. So just what do you think would be the advice to helping others find that sort of spark in their life?
got it. So I wrote a chapter on this. It's the second chapter in the book called The Crucible or the Crucible Moment. And basically it's that moment where you figure out that like there's like a major shift in your life, a major shift in where your motives are, what your passion is, or whatever that is. But it's like, it's a very defining moment. And for me, that came after I heard one line from, do you know the motivational speaker, Eric Thomas? Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Okay.
The hip hop preacher. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I watched the video, you know, How Bad Do You Want It? That video, like his first one. I watched that when I was a freshman in college on the very first night when like everybody was going out and hitting the clubs and going crazy on their first night of college. I was sitting in the dorm room with like one of my best friends, Rob Jones. And he's like, dude, you got to see this video. And I was like, all right, fine, let's watch it. And we checked it out, and he gets that line where he's talking about the story about the guru and the businessman, and the guru's holding the businessman underwater and at the ocean, and then he pulls him up, and then he's like, what's the one thing you wanted to do? And the businessman says, breathe. And he's like, that's how bad you got to want success. You got to want it as bad as you want to breathe. And I was like, whoa, that makes sense. That's how bad I want to do stuff, but I didn't even know what I wanted to do yet. I just knew I wanted something that bad. Exactly. So I was like, I got to figure out what it is. So I'm going to go start trying stuff. I'm going to just put myself out there. And that's when it all started. Wow. So from that YouTube video, when you want it as bad as you want to breathe, that piece of advice hit me. And that kind of, that relates a lot to that whole, you could be dying at midnight, phrase, because then I'm waking up every day. I'm like, I got to go after something like I'm literally dying today. And just like with a real fire, and I'm on a streak with that too, because I'm waking up and like I'm tired, but like that fire inside is still burning. You know, you're still hype and you're still passionate, and when you can find something you're passionate about, like that's what you do with your life. That should be your career, regardless of what benefits or retirement plan or money or whatever it is. Like if you wake up and you're like, I'm done at midnight, that's it. That's what you need to find.
Exactly. That's great advice, man. Thanks so much for sharing that. And that's brilliant. Yeah, I love Eric Thomas's stuff. I'm actually after him as well. So I've got a few big people I'm after. I'm going to show my unicorns. So
I will need to connect you, dude. We reached out and did a video for him like halfway through college because I was looking for the keys. I was like, we gotta figure this out. So he happened to be coming to our school, and I had to hook up with a football team. I'm like, yo, ET, come speak to the football team like right before your speech. And he was like, okay, I'll do it. And because we've been texting each other back and forth, I've been getting like life advice from ET like over the phone for like years.
What,
because
man, that's crazy.
He like he hadn't really picked up yet. So like, and honestly, like he's still that kind of guy, because if you have his phone number and you text him, most times he'll respond back because he is who he says he is. And I love that about him. He is my number one mentor, life coach, just everything. I would put it all on ET. He's the man.
Yeah, for sure, man. I love his stuff. It's brilliant. But yeah, thanks so much for sharing that, Will. That'd be awesome, man. And I love the advice you're sharing so far. So just moving on from that. So what would you say would be 3 to 5 actionable tips that you reckon you could share with my audience that could either help them progress in their career, say if they're feeling like they're in a stuck point? I know that kind of relates to what we've just shared through then, but what do you think would be some advice or learnings that you've also learned in your career that could really help my audience move forward?
Okay, so you're asking for some points that can get you unstuck?
Yeah, either unstuck, or say if you're in a career that you feel like you're just at this point where you want to go forward and get a promotion or a pay rise. What do you think some ways to help move forward and take that extra leap and get you into that pay rise or promotion?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you a story to explain all these, but I'm gonna say find your authenticity. find what makes you you and leverage that. The second thing is, in my opinion, leveraging it as being unpredictable and standing out is the way to do it. And then the third thing, do it with confidence. Yep. So if you're going to go for a promotion, if you're going to go for a new job, if you're going to go after your own like career path, whatever it is you're creating for yourself, anything like that, this all applies. And that's why I brought my friend Blanco here today, because now you can use a thumbnail with your guest and a teddy bear on it. People are going to be like, what is that all about? And that Blanco, by the way, is Spanish for white. So we took this teddy bear to the nightclubs in LA, and I carried him around all night. And the nightclub is not the place for a teddy bear. No. Think of this all as like a metaphor for you and your job. Don't bring a teddy bear into your job, but you know what I'm saying? So, for me, the way to stand out was to hold a teddy bear. And the way that I was authentic with it was that it was my idea. And I own the fact with confidence that I was in a nightclub as a 23-year-old dancing with my own teddy bear. And when you're in a nightclub, I feel like it's really hard to stand out. If you're trying to meet new people, if you're trying to get drinks, if you're trying to get in the door, I didn't pay cover once with this thing, which is awesome because, again, with the security guard, you walk up and his job is to take $5 from everybody and let them in. But when I walk up with a teddy bear, I'm like, yo, he and I forgot our wallet. Do we have to pay cover? And the guy's like, is he 21? I was like, he is. And he's like, all right, you're good. No cover. Walk up to the bar, put the teddy bear on the bar and just wait. And they're like, bartenders are looking around and they're like, is that a teddy bear? It caught everyone off guard. And then like all these people wanted to take Snapchats with it and everything. And we became the center of attention. And that's been the case. We've taken them out like 4 or 5 times to LA. And I love it every time. And that's what you need to do at your job. Don't bring a teddy bear in, but find some way that you can stand out where you don't want to look unprofessional. You don't want to break any rules or do anything that would hurt you, but you want to find that sweet spot where you're doing something that shows your authenticity and you can own it with confidence. Because if I was somebody that was hiring someone or promoting someone, I would want to see somebody that's passionate and excited about whatever it is they're doing, but showing it with like I said, with authenticity. So I'm trying to think of an example with a job. So when I was bringing people on board with my team, when I was building a team to film stuff in Hollywood, I originally started out with over 75 people under my brand, and that was too many people to maintain. So I was able to really trim down the list when I had one-on-one conversations with everybody, and I was like, okay, why are you a part of this? And why do you where do you see yourself in this business later on? And a lot of people are just like, I'm just kind of, I want something from a resume, or I think it'd be really fun to do, or just it was all surface level stuff. Yeah. And I told myself, I was like, I want 3 people on my team. And I didn't tell anybody else that, but I'm about to eliminate a lot of you because I know I can do more with 3 super dedicated people than I can with 75 people. And I think authenticity is so rare today, but it's super easy to find when that is one of your core values. So when I work with people in Hollywood, you can tell right off the bat who is excited about the project and who's going to really pour their heart into it, regardless of what you're getting paid or what their benefits are, and who's just there for other reasons. And that's one reason why I talk about how Jay was such a good contact, is because in the first conversation we had was supposed to be a 30-minute lunch and it turned into a 4-hour discussion. That's somebody who's authentic. And, and it happened again when we got pizza. I was like, hey man, let's grab a slice of pizza. And 4 hours later, I'm still sitting there with an empty plate talking about all kinds of stuff. And same thing with you. You can tell authenticity when you see it. Exactly. When it's your core value. So yeah, I would mash all 3 of those tips into one big thing. Be authentic, be yourself, leverage that, and be confident.
Awesome, man. That's brilliant advice. And I love how you touched on the core values, because that's something that's really important to me, helping my clients with, first of all, in their career, when I help them, when they're a bit lost and confused and want to find out a career that they're actually passionate about. That's what I specialize in, helping them find that. So core values is your number one thing that most people don't actually understand themselves or what's most important to them. They kind of just listen to the opinions of others and they let that guide them, which is the wrong way to go about things. So
Absolutely. And honestly, when I got stationed out here, I went to go see Eric Thomas speak. He was speaking in he was like the first or second week that I got out here. And I went down to LA, and one of the things he said to do was to write down your 10 core values on a list and keep them everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, that sounds like a dumb homework assignment. Like, I didn't really want to do it. But then my two buddies that went with me both did it. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll try it. And now I have those core values printed everywhere, and I see them every day. And first of all, I was surprised to see how it's hard to come up with a list of 10 core values and rack and stack. What's really your top 10? And when I got them all listed, now when I go into business deals in Hollywood, or if I'm working with someone in Hollywood or a music artist or whatever, I think back and I'm like, are these people sharing at least my top core values, or are they just in it for other reasons? Because if they're not sharing the top core values, don't go into business with them, and it's always going to bite you in the butt. And it has so many times in Hollywood. We're like, oh, this looks like a sweet deal. These people seem pretty legit, and then they're not. And then, then you get screwed. So that definitely happens sometimes. So yeah, core values. I mean, core values are like one of the first things they teach you in the Air Force. Yep. It's integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. And when I was learning that in ROTC, I was like, cool, more stuff to memorize. But then once I got into the Air Force, those people take that stuff very seriously. When you're, when your officer is the last person to leave the office because the airmen are still there, or if the boss is like, okay, everybody can go, you're good, and Airman Snuffy's still there working on his project, the officer goes and stays with him because it's service before self. Your airmen come first, and then integrity first. Like lying. It just isn't it's not common in the military, even on a small scale. Like people are really good about being trustworthy, because that's what you need to function in a military precise environment. I mean, we're launching missiles. Yep. You can't have integrity issues if you're launching missiles. No. And excellence in all we do. That goes back to what I was talking about with the Hollywood projects. My team consisted of military officers. So that means when we did a project, even if it was something simple for a little church group, or if it was a Chainsmokers music video, we were doing it as best as we possibly could, because Roy Kramer, one of my favorite videographers, has a saying where he says, you're only as good as your last video.
Definitely. So you better make it good. That's awesome advice, man. Thanks so much for sharing. That's so true, and I think that's brilliant. So we're just getting ready to wrap up soon, Will. So I just got a bit of a random question. I always ask all of my guests. It's coming from a solution-focused therapy background with my career counseling. There's a question called the miracle question. So imagine if you went to sleep tonight, and overnight a miracle had occurred. When you woke up the next day, you could impact anyone or anything in the world. You could absolutely change anything you really wanted without any financial roadblocks or mental roadblocks holding you back. What would be that massive impact you'd want to make on the world, and why would it be so important to you?
So my answer would be related to the thing that I wake up and try to do every day. I say in my book a bunch of times, I'm trying to change the world, but that's pretty broad. What I really want to see in people is authenticity and fearlessness in being authentic. So that's what really gets me ignited, is when I see someone who isn't not necessarily authentic, but is a little afraid to be themselves, because then I become, I guess, more of myself to motivate them to kind of open up a little bit. So I would say I would want to see everybody be completely fearless in being themselves and being authentic.
That's perfect, man. What a brilliant response. And I think, you see it so often online, a lot of people, not being the true self of who they are. They're just trying to be who everyone else thinks they should be, or what society thinks they should be, what their image is. So I think that's great, man, to have everyone actually being genuine in who they are. So that's brilliant, man.
There's one of my favorite chapters in the book. I think it's chapter 7. It's called I'd Walk 1,000 Miles. When you get the book, or anybody that's listening, once they get the book, you can even jump to that one right off the bat. My book is you don't have to read it in order. Chapter 7 is one of my favorites because it's all about that. And it's all based off of Vanessa Carlton's song, 1,000 Miles. And it has a really funny story and a lot of history behind it. But that all talks about authenticity and being yourself and being like a kid and just really enjoying who you are.
Definitely, guys. I really recommend jumping on board Will's book. It's incredible. He sent me the first few chapters of it, and it just blew me away. It's such a cool book, and it's amazing to have such a great insight into his journeys and some of the stuff he's gone through. Like, you know, Will's already shared some of the amazing stuff he's done on the show today. But yeah, trust me, get on board the book. It'll blow you away. It's really cool.
Appreciate it. Yeah, the place to go is theartofunpredictability.com. And we have a little email sign-up list. You just hit that, plug in your email, and you'll be good to go because we're going to print it on May 1st. That's a hard date. I'm making my team stick to it. And then we're just going to promote it like crazy until then. So get on that email list. You can get some content in advance. We're going to send some stuff out, some stories that aren't in the book, and some tips and stuff on how you can learn more about those unpredictable keys, how to find them.
Will, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, man. I'm so glad to have connected with you and the amazing message and journey you've shared with my audience today, as well as some of the incredible insights and learnings that are really going to help them. I've even got some amazing gold from what you've shared. So just to finish up, where would be the best place to get in contact with you? I know you've just shared about your book, but where would be the best place to reach out to you?
I'm going to tell everybody go to the website. Go to the website because right now I'm answering all the emails. So if you hit contact us, it goes straight to my inbox. If you want to hit the email list, you're getting emails from me. So like the website, theartofunpredictability.com, that's the only place, that is the best place to do it right there.
Awesome, Will. Thanks so much, man, and keep being authentic and amazing. I always love talking to you and hearing the adventures you're getting up to each week. It's so cool to hear, man, and it really lights me up inside and really, inspires you as a person too. So thank you for what you do, man.
Definitely, man. And I always like to end all these the same, where I say if there's anyone out there that knows how I can get on stage to film Viva La Vida for Coldplay, I'm going to keep saying it until we make that dream come true. I'm going to keep looking for that key, and I want to do it for someone else. I want to film another, like some kid who's like a huge Coldplay fan. I want to film them on stage with Coldplay so that we can make someone else's dream happen all at once. So that's my big number one goal right now. If anyone knows how to do it, hit me up. Let's make it happen.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Will. And guys, stay tuned next week. We've got another amazing guest coming on our show. He's really going to help you push forward in your career. So stay tuned then.
So as you can see from Will's interview today, you can see the power of being unpredictable and some of the amazing results and achievements you can gain in your life and in your career from being unpredictable. So if you've loved our interview, be sure to head over to Will's book, which is at bit.ly/predictable1. So PREDICTABLY and the number 1. So you're probably wondering what Will's book is really about. So this book is more about balance than anything. You see, all of us need an equal balance of routine and surprise in our life, which is basically unpredictability and predictability. Each person's balance is different. Some people value more chaos and others value more structure. So the book is really teaching you how to utilize both of these and how to get amazing results from being unpredictable and using the element of surprise to achieve results in your life. So as I said, be sure to head to the link below. So bit.ly/predictable1. I hope you guys have really enjoyed today's episode, and I'm so excited to bring another episode to you next week. Thanks a lot. Stay tuned then.